President Biden arrived in France today to commemorate the 80th anniversary of the D-Day invasion tomorrow. 80 years ago tonight, America went to sleep having no idea the world would change the next day, with General Dwight D. Eisenhower in command of the most complex and challenging invasion in the history of warfare. The German military occupiers of France could not believe their eyes when dawn broke the next day and the English Channel was filled with military ships and boats of all sizes as far as the eye could see, headed straight for the French beaches of Normandy, where the German army had massive guns in bunkers to crush any attempted invasion by the United States and its allies. There is no greater bravery than being the first ones off the landing craft in a beach invasion in war. No one has captured the fear and the danger and the heroism of the D-Day invasion better than Steven Spielberg did in Saving Private Ryan. When the news broke to the world the next day that American soldiers were fighting and dying on those beaches in what was their first day of what became the months-long battle to liberate France and defeat Adolf Hitler, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt said that the Americans landing on that beach, including the thousands who died there, were on a mission, quote, to set free a suffering humanity. No one named Trump was on that beach. Donald Trump's father avoided military service in World War II. President Biden is expected to meet with Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky in Normandy. The Putin invasion of Ukraine is the 21st century version of Hitler's invasion of France. In an interview with Time magazine, President Biden said that peace in Ukraine, quote, looks like making sure Russia never, 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 never occupies Ukraine. And it doesn't mean NATO. It means we have a relationship with them like we do with other countries where we supply weapons so they can defend themselves in the future. No word yet on how Donald Trump plans to commemorate the D-Day anniversary tomorrow. Joining our discussion now is Simon Rosenberg, Democratic strategist and author of Hopium Chronicles on Substack. Simon, thank you very much for joining us tonight. I'm thinking about how the next few days, without them being campaign days for Joe Biden, will demonstrate and display Joe Biden's sense of duty against a candidate who everyone knows has no sense of duty other than duty to himself.
I think the contrast is going to be welcome and extraordinary. You're going to see a successful American president standing up for our interests, working with our allies abroad, and fighting for us here at home, making things far better for the American people during his time in office. And the other guy who has been in court and was found guilty on 34 counts, and who spent the days after playing golf, and who's not a serious person who can represent the America that we know. He's already proven that he doesn't represent us, he betrays us. And so I do think that coming out of the trial, this contrast between the successful Joe Biden, who has made America far better and represents us so elegantly around the world, and this other guy is going to be about as stark a contrast as you possibly could imagine.
Let's listen to Donald Trump tonight on Fox with his friend Sean Hannity, taking credit for overturning Roe versus Wade. Let's listen to that.
Yeah.
Great justices, 3 great justices, plus others that joined them, as you know. And we don't have to go into all the names, but they're great. And they had the courage to end Roe v. Wade.
Simon, the courage to end Roe v. Wade, which is one of the most unpopular decisions the Supreme Court has made, I believe, in my lifetime.
And that's put tens of millions of women at risk. I mean, it's a barbaric decision. It wasn't just unpopular. It was one of the most retrograde and reactionary decisions made by the court in modern history. And so I think, look, Trump is spending a lot of time on Fox, isn't he, the last few days, right? He's working really hard, campaigning the way that he campaigns and goes with all his friendlies over at Fox. And to me, it's a sign that they're worried. I mean, I think we finally got some polling tonight that the New York Times did that is starting to show that the verdict really may starting to erode some of the integrity of his brand. The Times did a poll where they called back other people they had called a few months ago, and they found that Biden had gained 2 points with that electorate that they had spoken to a few months ago. And G. Elliott Morris, who runs 538, said these findings are significant. We're starting to see meaningful erosion for Trump. I don't think it's going to happen super fast, and people shouldn't expect it. But I think the way to think about what's happening now with his brand is that people, I think, are now going to be more willing and open to hearing things about him, negative things about him, and accept them as being true than they were before. This is like a belly punch in a prize fight, right? Where it doesn't knock the other guy down, but it weakens them over time. And I think we're beginning to see now some of the evidence that is actually happening with voters. And it's why I think Trump is hustling so hard. He knows that this is going poorly for him, and he's working it. And I don't think it's been effective.
Simon Rosenberg, audience favorite, thank you very much for joining us tonight, as always.
Lawrence, it's always great to be with you.
Thanks, Simon.